So I'm out here at the Carmelita mine in southern Petaca with my buddy Andre and my doggies. And this is the first morning we've been out prospecting, and I think I found my first hot spot. This is actually on the mine on the road leading up to the mine. And this is definitely something here. So let's see what I can pull out of here. This area is known for the columbites, and there's been some good columbites that have come out of this area, according to my friend Steve Dubik, who spent years surveying this area. And so I'm hopeful that we're going to find some real nice columbite specimens. This one seems a little hot to be columbite. We'll see. Steve was saying that a lot of the columbites up here are actually not very radioactive. Ooh. This is either a giant columbite or something else. Well, there it is. Okay. Yeah, this looks like a columbite to me. It's yeah, this is a nice little columbite.
Columbite?
Yeah. See, it's just a big irregular lump. That is black.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
Heavy.
Yeah.
It seems like columbite to me.
Yeah.
Looks like another columbite. Yeah,
Columbite,
these things are
yeah.
all kind of the same size. Little amorphous, but very much like the ones I was finding over near the Vestergaard. So we've been walking back downhill from the Carmelita mine and sort of checking the slopes on the sides and all. And I've been following this wash down here, and it looks like I may have found a hot spot. So let me see what it yields. So if I find a specimen here, we will have found 6 specimens in this slope, not directly below the Carmelita mine, but to the side and closer to the road, kind of between the mine and the road. So that's telling me that this stuff is not coming right out of the mine, that it just has weathered out of the pegmatite in this side of the mountain. I don't know. Yeah, let's see. Maybe. Let's see if this gets hot quickly. And if it does, then we got a specimen. Otherwise, it could be just some hot matrix. Oh, I think. It seems like I've already pulled something out of it. Yeah, I have. There it is. Okay, this looks like another piece of columbite. Looks very similar. and the amorphous and ventifact. Looks like possibly it was exposed to the wind for a long period of time and it's gotten real smooth and rounded off. I'll put that in my back pocket and see if there's anything else here. If I can find my back pocket. Yeah, I think there's something else down here. You know, for the size of it, it wasn't very hot. So that's another indication that it's columbite besides just the appearance. Now we're getting into some matrix, it seems like, which is interesting. It's real interesting that I'm getting in the matrix and I happen to find a specimen right on top of it, which makes me wonder if this is where these specimens are weathering out. Okay. You know, it could be just a alluvial deposit where these things tend to collect. Seems like I've got something in here. Probably a small piece of columbite and it's not very hot. I want to make sure that I'm not just getting a signal from this hot hole. Okay, let's get back here. Dogs are barking at Andre because he's back at the campsite. Well, getting into some really hard rock here. Ah. Okay, it's something over here. Yeah, I think I pulled something out here. Let's see if I can spot it here. There it is. Another piece of columbite. Yeah. Well, so either this spot just happens to be optimal for the alluvial collection of these things as they wash down stream, or this is a pod where these things actually develop. So what I'm going to do is continue to search downstream, and if these two specimens were deposited as they wash downstream, there should be more specimens downstream. So that will tell me one thing. And if I don't find any more specimens down there, then it could be that this is where these two columbite specimens actually grew in this matrix. So this is right next to this big mass of rock, and so you get a lot of mass effect when you get close to the walls. But I think I've got a hot spot here. It seems to be more localized than the mass effect that would occur. So let me see what I can find here. Okay, this is another piece of columbite that was apparently deposited here by water. And so that would lead credence to the theory that the other two right above it were also deposited by water. Okay, this wash is getting pretty steep here, so I'm having to lower the dogs down on their leash. There we go. That's one. Here goes the other. There we go. And so this is the haul from this morning. Pretty good in an area that we were not familiar with. And we ended up not finding a single specimen at the mine itself. What's the name of the mine here?
Carmelita.
Carmelita, right. But on the way up there, on the road up toward it, I found the first specimen, and this is evidently, almost certainly, a columbite. along, and I actually found a couple more columbites as well. Now, right above that specimen on the road, Andre found his first specimen, a smaller piece of columbite. But then we went up to the mine, and Andre ended up finding stuff below the mine. And this looks like a columbite. This measures to be a columbite, but this one is wicked hot, so we don't think that, and it doesn't look anything like these columbites. It's got more crystal structure, different color, and it's like 3 or 4 times as hot. So this piece is at least 50K counts per minute. And so we're gonna have to XRF that to see what it is, and it may be something new being reported from this mine. And these 2 specimens I ended up finding in a wash below that area where we found these, and this one was even further below. So this was a very interesting haul. We learned a lot about this area, and we're looking forward to finding more stuff. So here we are at the locality that we call Moats. It doesn't really have a real name, but we just call it Moats after Will Moats. And I've done a lot to develop this area, and last time I actually spent a lot of time in this area right in front of the camera, right on the other side of this tree, doing a real careful survey. And this time, we're not here for a long time, but I wanted to look and see what I could find down here in the trees below. It looks like I found my first little specimen. I mean, it's not a great one, but I think I will continue to find stuff on down the hill here. So we're here at Moats for just a couple of hours, late in the afternoon on our first day. And I left Andre up the hill working some of the spots that have been very productive in the past. And I'm actually trying to develop a new area down here. And it seems to be working out. I've got a nice hit here. Let's see what it turns out to be. In the past, I found euxenite and monazites primarily. This one seems like probably a euxenite based on how hot it is. Yep, I've moved it. I think I've lost it somehow. Must have fallen off. Must have fallen off. There it is. Tried to escape. Yep, this is a nice little euxenite. Okay. Put that in the back pocket and move on. And here's another nice one, just a few feet away from that last one. And this is a nice one, got good crystal form, real close to the other holes, and they're just below the pine needles, right on the surface. So I'm still working my way downhill from the Charles zone, and it still seems to be productive. So that's kind of what I've been curious about, is how far down the hill these specimens could have traveled. And this one started out really weak at the surface, but now a couple inches deep, it's getting pretty hot. So let's see what I can pull out of here. I got it. There it is. Okay, it's a nice size one. Got a little bit of crystal form to it. So I've been working my way down the hill, and it seems like at this point I'm far enough away from the pegmatite that almost any little signal that I get, you know, and sometimes it starts off very weak, just a little glip like that ends up being a specimen. So this is our haul from Moats today, with Andre's on the top and mine on the bottom. We were only there for an hour and a half or so, and still came up with quite a few specimens. So there are a lot of specimens in that place, and but no monazites. This looks like all euxenite. Okay, this morning we're at the Globe mine. There's the adit, and we park right next to it. So this is a spot that Andre found, and he initially found this big honker piece right here. It's very nice. It measures about 6,000 counts per minute, or per second actually, on the scintillator. And so he found that piece, but the hole was still really hot, so I started digging in it, and I found those other 3 pieces, plus a couple of dozen other smaller pieces. And so we think it's probably time to give up on this hole because the activity has dropped in half. So I've been following this main wash down here, downstream from the little wash that I followed down yesterday, knowing that there must be some specimens that made their way down this main wash. And I think I found another columbite, pretty nice one. And there appears to be something else in this hole right underneath this ledge. So let me see what else I can find. So that little one was the other one that was in the hole. And this confirms my experience that if we find things on the slope, which we did yesterday, we're going to find things downhill in the wash that drains the slope. So it's pretty cool. You never know what you're going to find, but this is a cool little arrowhead, transparent obsidian, and it appears that this was some sort of overhang or a little cave that collapsed. So maybe it was some place for Native Americans to rest up, or who knows. But this is a neat little find. So I've been walking around near the Carmelita, kind of down below it, I don't know, for 2 hours. And I showed you the arrowhead that I found, and that would be enough to make the whole hike worthwhile. But I think that I may have found a little hot spot here. It looks like it's worth digging. It doesn't seem like very much, but we'll see what I get out of here. And it turned out to be a little euxenite. So I'm still walking down this wash where I found the little columbite upstream, and this seems like it's going to be pretty productive little wash, because I initially detected this over here, seems like, and then I was going to check out my staging area here, and lo and behold, there's something down here as well. So I'm going to have to clear this out first. It seems even hotter. I'm going to clear that out first, so I'll have my staging area ready for the other one. So this first one turned out to be a big old piece of columbite. So now my staging area is nice and quiet, so I'll go after the other one. And the second one turned out to be just a smaller piece of columbite. But I'm going to continue to follow this wash down. So that's where I just found those two columbites, and just about 10 feet below it, I think I may be onto another specimen. And it turned out to be a nice columbite as well. This one's got some pretty good crystal form. So today was another productive day in southern Petaca. We spent the morning at the Globe Mine, and initially didn't find much, but eventually Andre found a hot spot, and we ended up excavating there for about 2 hours. And all these came out of that one excavation, which is several feet long. The very first one he found was this one, because it was the hottest one of all. And these may be pieces that broke off of that one. We don't know until we try to put it together. So that was pretty exciting. But before we even found that hot hole, I found this lovely specimen buried in soil. And you see, I counted 9 or 10 facets on this monazite. This is a really beautiful specimen. So that made the whole trip for me. And then I came back in the afternoon and found these columbites here at Carmelita. And it took a couple hours of walking, but I managed to find this. I think this is the largest one we found so far, and the rest of these are pretty big, and this one's got good crystal form as well. So that was quite a successful day, and we've got a few more of these. Tomorrow I think we're going to the Friedland mine. Is that right, Andre?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll see what we find there. So this morning we're here at the Queen Mine in what I consider the northern part of Petaca with my friend Tom, and Andre is off in the distance someplace. And Tom is trying out one of my gamma dogs for the first time and seems to be having some luck at a hot hole. And I found a spot here in the wash that seems promising. I've already pulled that one piece, but it's just like it's still off the charts hot. So I think there's more stuff in here, either that or top matrix, but let me see what else I can pull out of here. Okay, so I think I finished digging this hole, and it's quite a surprise because initially I pulled one little specimen out, you know, and I gave it to Tom as his first specimen here from Queen Mine, and I thought, well, there's probably more in there. And look what I pulled out of there. This thing is so hot that looks like it could be crystal form there. We need to wash this thing off. This thing is so hot that it set a new record on our gamma dogs. You were measuring like 12,000
CPS.
CPS. Wow. So this is the hole I pulled it out of, and now this hole is completely quiet. So you see, as I get close to my dog, I'm 3 feet from my dog, and it's already way off. So yeah, we'll go wash it off and see what this thing looks like. So I've washed this massive specimen off and let it dry, and the habit that it's got is reminiscent of sertolite to me. I've got some sertolites that look exactly like this, but much smaller, obviously. And also the color. It's got the same color as the sertolites that I've... And I don't know whether this is part of the crystal or just a piece of quartz sticking out the back there, but this is an amazing specimen. I can't wait to get it home and analyze it. And If it is sodalite, there'll be a big old zircon peak. So I've left Andre and Tom down at the Queen mine, and I decided to walk up the hill to the King mine. And I've never spent much time up here, but I think I found a hot spot. It's not terribly hot, but it seems to be localized. And it's most likely, if it's anything, it's most likely to be a monazite, because that's all I've found on this side of the wash from the Queen. Boy, it's a beautiful, beautiful morning. Got some cloud cover. The sun is starting to poke out, but it's nice and cool. As long as it doesn't rain, it's perfect. We were on our way to the Friedland mine, but the road there was getting really gnarly and the rain clouds were kind of threatening, so we decided to abort that and come to one of the spots that I knew were safe if we were to get some rain. We're not going to get stuck here. Okay, I think it's a little hotter. Boy, after finding that giant specimen there that I just showed you, I don't think I have to find another rock on this trip, and I'll be happy. I'm more worried about the amount of radiation coming off that rock. I think I'm going to tie it to my back bumper on the way back, and even then I'm a little worried about the radiation exposure. That thing is hotter than anything I've ever seen. The question is, what is it? And we're speculating it's either a polycrase based upon that fan shape, a habit that it has. It's either a polycrase, or in my experience, it could be a sodalite. I have some sodalites that have that fan shape. But that's kind of a once in a lifetime find. Of course, I've had a number of those out here already. If you've watched any of my other videos, I've found some nice specimens that are ending up in museums. Let's see. Okay, it seems to be on this side. I'm guessing it's going to be a monazite. It's not getting that hot. Oh, I don't know. I may have moved something. But yeah, I've moved it. Either that or it's... I've been chasing a couple of specimens here because I've definitely got something here as well. Let me move some of this dirt here. Yeah, I think I moved it, but I just keep shoving it around. Oh, there it is. Okay, this is not, well, I don't know, this looks a little black glassy to be a monazites. I think this could be a samarskite. So I'm having quite the luck this morning. I walked up to the road above the King mine just so I could get a GPS coordinates on it. And as I was walking down here just to go back down to the mine, I think I found another hot spot. I need to reset my squelch. And you see, I think it's a localized hotspot. Let me localize it and see what I got out of it. So this turns out to be an interesting specimen. A lot of striations on it, some good crystal form. It'd be interesting to see what that is. And then in addition to that, I saw this, looks like a black glassy to me, but it's not radioactive at all. So it may be a non-radioactive columbite. So I'll give that an XRF when I get home. So what did you find there here at Queen?
This is a good piece of samarskite. It's a black glassy, very dense.
Wow.
Pretty hot.
That is, hold it still for a second. Let me get a close-up of it. That is the biggest piece of samarskite that I've seen come out of Queen. That's beautiful. Yeah.
And it came out of this hole here.
Yeah. So for orientation, the road is right up above us, up there on the ridge. But yeah, I knew you were going to find some samarskite here.
Yeah.
And Tom is over there digging in a hot hole. Hopefully he'll find a specimen.
You think the bottom is right on?
Yeah, I'm saying probably at the bottom of each of these holes there is a hot specimen, just like this one.
So what did you find there, Tom?
It looks like a samarskite.
Yeah?
Maybe there are some crystal features on there.
Yeah, it's a big chunk and it's hot. Very nice. So is that the first one you found out here?
Yeah, the first one that wasn't a chip.
Okay.
Let me see what is the rate. You can put it here. So it
sounds good.
Yeah, the dose is about 20 microsieverts, and it is 3000 CPS, 3500 CPS. So it's quite hot.
Yeah.
What was it in microsieverts?
20 microsieverts.
So you're reading a spectrum right now.
Yeah.
And what does it say?
It still integrates. It picked up the potassium, so let's give it a little more time. Oh, I see the radium hand, so it's...
Okay, so it's uranium based.
Yeah, it's uranium based.
Okay. Very nice.
See, this is the signature radium hand with the picks.
Mm-hmm. That's classic radium. So I brought my fins back with me from Queen down the road. Now we're back at the King, and my My dogs are growling for some reason.
They don't like me.
But I think I found a specimen in here. Jorge, ya basta. Ya basta. So we were measuring with an exposure meter because I was a little worried about that huge specimen I found, what kind of exposure I was getting when I'm taking it back home in the car, even if I'm putting on the back bumper. And we've kind of convinced ourselves that it's not too dangerous as long as I don't keep it too close to me. We figured that if I were to hug it for 100 hours, it would be the same exposure I would get naturally in a year. So, and if you just move a foot or two away from it, it goes down dramatically, you know, by 1,000 times or something. So I'm not too much worried about it, but I'm still gonna keep it as far away from me as I can when I'm driving home. Okay, let's see if I've moved it already. Here. Yeah, I've already moved it. Okay. Actually, is this it? No. Okay. Keep moving it. Come on. Where are you? It's got to be right in here. There we go. There it is. It fell off before I had a chance to find it. So this is what I just pulled out of that hole. It looks like monazite. So we found this pretty productive field right here in the middle of King Mine. And we pulled out quite a few little specimens. And then Andre just pulled out a nice big hot specimen. We're not sure what it is. I don't think it's monazite. And this is a smaller version of the same thing that I just pulled out of here. See, it's got a little bit of a reddish to it, but it's way hotter than a monazite should be. So we'll have to wait till we get home to XRF it to see what it is. It's a nice monazite or whatever it is. It's pretty darn hot. But it's pretty. It's gonna wash up nice. So it's a nice morning. We had a lot of rain yesterday, so we're kind of letting things dry out at the campsite here at Carmelita. And looking downhill is where I found all my specimens, and Andre found his as well. And the mine is actually that direction. And so I'm gonna look uphill, see what I can find, see if I can maybe figure out where these specimens, mostly columbite, but then there's another hot specimen. It's something else, but see if I can maybe find some more uphill, and you know, never know, I may find the pegmatite where they're coming from. Down there is where I left my dogs, and I've been zigzagging back and forth across this area above where I was finding the other specimens, basically below where the dogs are, and I think I found my first hot spot here, right in there. So let me see what I've got. So this is pretty exciting stuff when I'm new to an area, and I know that I'm probably the first one to survey. I mean, I obviously didn't find the Carmelita mine, but as far as doing an extensive survey of the area, I'm probably the first one to do it. And so it's pretty exciting to see what kind of specimens I can find and where I find them, and I plot them on the map and I speculate where they may be coming from. So it's all a great adventure. And those of you all have watched my videos from the Vestigard area, you'll know what I mean. I've done extensive surveying and found all kinds of minerals that nobody else had ever found there before. So it's pretty cool. Oh, I moved it already. So it's right on the surface. Okay, where is it? Oh, it's this big rock. Oh my goodness, what is this? Interesting. Well, that's something different. Now, it's not terribly hot, especially for its size, but it's evidently got maybe a columbite in there. So it's hotter on this side. It may be this rock right here. This looks like it could be a columbite, which is very cool if this turns out to be the columbite in this matrix. That's a really nice specimen. Alrighty then. That was it. Okay. Well, this place is just full of surprises. Unfortunately, it's kind of heavy for carrying around, but I'll just have to make do. So this is what I think is probably a columbite sticking out of this thing. Very cool. We're working our way downstream from a little wash where I found several specimens either yesterday or the day before. And I think I've got a little hot spot. It's very subtle, but it seems to be localized. So let me see if it yields anything, or it's just a little bit of hot country rock. So I already pulled away a big chunk of country rock, and you see it's got more localized. So I think I'm on to something here. Oh, there's another big piece of country rock right on top of it. That ought to help. Okay. Sure I don't forget my hat. Yeah, definitely getting hotter. This will be directly down. Even Rojo's getting interested in what's going on here. He knows that sound. And he knows what makes me happy. So he's definitely perked up. You see, it started off with a really weak signal, but this rock does a good job of blocking the signal. So if it's under a rock, it may be a very weak signal, and you get rid of that country rock or quartz or whatever, and it'll get hot faster. Okay. Okay, it didn't take but a few more minutes, and I finally pulled it out of the hole, and it seems that there's probably another piece in here as well. Yeah, it's right over there, so let me find this one first, and these may be the same specimen. There it is. Okay, this looks like a typical piece of columbite. It's not got any fracture, so this is probably just another little piece over here. Okay, let me put this over here by my dogs. Another little piece. There it is. Okay, this is another little piece of columbite. So this is pretty much all we find here is columbite, except for that one piece of euxenite or whatever it is that Andre found. So, but that's cool. So this big piece apparently is some sort of sedimentary specimen, because these black layers seem to be hot, and especially this one up here, but all these layers seem to be hot, and now we're going to do a little gamma spec of it, and it'll probably show uranium, and when I get home I'll do an XRF to see if there are any rare earths. Like I was thinking this might be a columbite, but when I get home I'll be able to tell. So as it turns out, this is not uranium 238, this is thorium 232. So it's definitely not columbite. And I'll have to do further analysis with my XRF to see if we can identify it any further. But this is quite interesting.
Okay.
What was that?
You're taking a picture of me holding the thing.
Yeah, we've got quite a windstorm going here. And I forgot to bring the tent poles. So we've got quite jury rig. So our final morning, we came up to the Vestergaard pegmatite, and you can see the vehicle down there, and that's where this road beside the Vestergaard is where we found literally hundreds of specimens of davidite, euxenite, columbite, monazite, but I've never found anything on this side of the road. I mean, it's just hot country rock. But Andre actually found a columbite not far off the road on this side. So I started wandering around and found this tiny little wash. I found one hot spot, but it didn't yield anything. So I'm just walking up this little wash here, and see, it's hardly even noticeable, this wash. But I figure that if there's anything up here, it's going to be concentrated in these washes. And lo and behold, I found a specimen of something here. So that is really cool. It opens up a whole wide area for future prospecting. Those of you who've watched some of my other videos from Petaca, every video has surprises. Every time I come out here, of course, we've been to other areas, and you've seen on this trip, we've already found several surprises, but this is one more because it's opened up a whole new area for future prospecting. And let's see if this is just right on the surface. Yep, it's right on the surface. There it is. So, looks like, well, it's either a euxenite or a davidite. I would say it could be either one. It's got some black glassy. All right, so after visiting Area 104, which is the Vestergaard, and the Vesely mine, we came down here to the Mary mine, and it has a lot of monazites up near the tailings. All through the tailings are monazites. So I decided, in my own way, come down the wash, and I have found something. This looks like columbite to me. So that's interesting, just right down the wash. So these are the pieces that I've found so far at the Mary mine. So there's a few monazites here. This is obviously a columbite, and then a couple more. I'm not sure what they are. This may be a columbite, but the most interesting thing about this one is that it was found right in this hole that somebody else had dug. So I've dug some holes up here in the wash, but somebody else dug this hole, and they just left the specimen right on the edge of the hole. So I don't know, I can't quite explain why they would leave that specimen, but it's something interesting. So this is our last day in Petaca. We'll be heading out in the morning, and we checked out a number of mines today, and really only one of them was very interesting, the Mary mine. And in the past I have found monazites, so I was not surprised to find monazites there, and they're all over in the tailings. But what I was surprised to find were euxenites and columbites. So that tells me there's actually a lot of different minerals at this locality, and so it's going to be worth going back and seeing what else I can find there. So this has been a great trip this week to Petaca. Lots of surprises, and there's always adventures, a lot of fun. And this week we actually had pretty good weather, except for one day where we got some rain, but that's all par for the course when you're out rock hounding in Petaca.